Welcome, and thank you for being here. As you settle into rest, allow your breathing to soften and let the weight of the day slowly melt away. Tonight, I'll guide you gently through a quiet journey into the peaceful world of biology, a soft exploration of life's earliest moments and the delicate structures that shaped everything we know. There's nothing you need to do now, nothing to remember, nothing to achieve. Simply allow the sound of my voice to drift through your thoughts like a calm breeze moving across still water. With each slow breath, your body settles a little deeper, your mind loosens its grip, and the quiet story of life begins to open around you. In this soft, whisper-calm journey, we'll drift back in time, back to an ancient world before cities, before forests, before even the simplest creatures existed. A world of warm oceans, glowing molecules, and gentle currents carrying the earliest whispers of life. As you listen, feel yourself floating, weightless and unhurried, held safely in the quiet rhythm of the night. If at any point your thoughts drift away, that is perfectly fine. This time is for you, a place to rest, to breathe, to soften. So let us begin, gently, slowly, with the building blocks of life and the calm origins of everything that followed. As we begin our quiet journey into biology, let your mind settle gently, like dust drifting through a slow beam of morning light. Before life took form, before cells, before oceans filled with movement, there were only the simplest building blocks, tiny molecules floating in warm, ancient water. Picture that early Earth, a world still cooling, steam rising softly from volcanic shores, and within those waters, atoms of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen drifted without purpose, waiting for their moment to connect. Slowly, patiently. These atoms formed the earliest organic molecules, amino acids, the small, humble ingredients that would one day build every living creature, from the tiniest bacterium to you. Imagine those amino acids drifting together, bumping, separating, bumping again, until some of them linked into longer chains. And in those chains, the universe began whispering the first hints of structure, the first soft outlines of possibility. Proteins emerged from these early interactions, folding gently into shapes that allowed them to hold energy, to speed up reactions, to carve faint pathways towards something more organized. Each protein, a small miracle of pattern and geometry, yet forming naturally, like frost patterns on a quiet winter window. In the same waters, lipids gathered into tiny bubbles, thin, delicate membranes that floated like translucent beads. These bubbles, simple as they were, created boundaries, and boundaries became protection, little safe pockets where chemistry could unfold without interruption. Inside some of these pockets, strands of RNA began to form, fragile at first, but capable of storing information, of copying themselves, of guiding simple reactions with quiet precision. With RNA inside a shelter of lipids and proteins drifting nearby to support reactions, the earliest whispers of a cell began to take shape. It wasn't conscious, it wasn't deliberate, but it was the beginning of something extraordinary, a slow, steady rise toward life as we know it. As you imagine this ancient scene, let the simplicity of it wash over you, atoms drifting, molecules forming, tiny structures beginning to cooperate, all unfolding in peaceful silence across oceans millions of years old. This is where life begins, in patience, in drifting motion, in the gentle dance of molecules finding each other, again and again, across the cradle of an early Earth, in the quiet expanse of Earth's early oceans. Life continued its slow and steady rise, unfolding with soft intention. Tiny molecules drifted, drawn together by chance, yet each connection shaped the foundations of something greater. Amino acids formed gentle chains, folding into proteins that bent and curled, like the first delicate movements of a waking world. These shapes were not random, but purposeful, each one a quiet step toward complexity. Lipids gathered into small, shimmering bubbles, their surfaces forming protective boundaries, like the first whispers of a shelter. Inside these fragile enclosures, chemical reactions glowed with possibility, soft sparks of organization, hinting at the structure that life would later embrace. RNA strands drifted through the waters, copying themselves slowly, carefully, like ancient scribes recording the earliest instructions of existence. Each replication carried a memory, a pattern, a blueprint that would guide life's future steps. These molecules did not rush. They swayed gently, allowing time and chance to shape their destiny. Across millions of years, simple patterns grew more intricate. Soft interactions became stable relationships, and the boundaries of early protocells grew stronger, holding their contents together through the push and pull of ancient tides. When we imagine these beginnings, it is easy to envision noise and chaos. Yet the reality was almost certainly calm, a slow drifting dance between particles, each movement guided by natural forces, not with urgency, but with patience. In this peaceful microscopic world, the stage was set for the first true cells to emerge, small, simple, but extraordinary in their potential. Life had taken its first breath, and the quiet story of biology had only just begun. In these early oceans, the chemistry of life continued to unfold. Molecules drifted, collided, and formed subtle new shapes. The planet was still young, still warm, still stirring with possibility, and within these gentle waters, the slow dance of creation carried on, one quiet moment at a time. Amino acids, simple but essential, floated freely through the currents. Some linked together, forming longer chains, tiny steps toward the first proteins. Others dissolved again, returning to the ocean, waiting for another chance, another interaction, another possibility. Energy from sunlight, lightning, and geothermal vents stirred the waters like a natural laboratory. Each spark, each shift in temperature, encouraged new combinations to form. The Earth itself acted as a patient teacher, guiding each molecule, each reaction, with calm persistence. Lipids gathered into hollow spheres, delicate bubbles with thin membranes. Inside them, new reactions could occur, sheltered from the chaos outside. These simple structures, drifting quietly through the sea, were the ancestors of the first living cells, the earliest hints of boundaries, identity, and internal order. All around them, the ocean shimmered with potential. Every molecule carried a tiny fragment of possibility, and every collision, every gentle movement shaped the future in ways no organism yet existed to witness. Life, in its simplest chemical form, when it was assembling itself slowly, patiently, through endless cycles of trial and transformation, guided not by intention, but by the quiet laws of nature. And although nothing yet breathed, or thought, or dreamed, the foundations were being laid softly, steadily, in the warm cradle of the ancient sea. Chapter 2 begins with a quiet shift in Earth's ancient waters. A moment when simplicity slowly leaned toward complexity. For billions of years, the oceans held nothing more than drifting molecules, tiny precursors of life waiting for the right conditions to arise. Then, in warm, mineral-rich shallows, something remarkable happened. The first true cells emerged, small, delicate, and astonishing in their potential. These early cells, called prokaryotes, carried within them the very first blueprints of life. Their genetic material floated freely, not yet enclosed in a nucleus, but still capable of guiding growth, survival, and reproduction. Imagine the stillness of those waters, the faint shimmer of sunlight filtering downward, and countless microscopic cells drifting like lanterns in the dark. They lived simply, dividing in soft cycles, each cell a quiet echo of the one before. Some of these early organisms developed a gift that would change the world forever, the ability to capture sunlight and convert it into energy. This process, photosynthesis, began slowly, almost imperceptibly, but over millions of years. It transformed Earth's atmosphere. As oxygen increased, the planet shifted from a silent, dim place to a world capable of supporting ever more complex forms of life. The oxygen they released filled the oceans, and eventually the skies, paving the way for every breath you take today. These simple cells did not rush. They lived in gentle rhythms, responding to currents, light, nutrients, and time itself. Their existence was calm and unhurried, a perfect mirror of the pace your mind can settle into now. And as these cells adapted, a new chapter began to unfold. Certain organisms formed partnerships, merging with others in peaceful cooperation. One cell sheltered another, offering protection in exchange for energy. What began as survival became symbiosis, a quiet union that gave rise to the ancestors of all complex life. In every cell of your body today, mitochondria remain as tiny reminders of that ancient alliance, working constantly, softly, to keep you alive. As we continue, let your breath follow the simplicity of those first living forms, steady, gentle, unhurried, like the earliest shapes of life drifting across a warm and ancient sea. Long before complex life appeared on Earth, before plants, animals, or even simple tissues, life existed in its most minimal form. Single cells, quiet, self-contained, and endlessly persistent. These earliest living organisms floated gently through ancient oceans, suspended in warm, mineral-rich water, bathed in faint sunlight filtering down from above. They were simple by modern standards, yet extraordinarily capable. Each cell carried everything it needed to survive: a flexible boundary, a basic metabolism, and strands of genetic material holding instructions for life. These organisms are known today as prokaryotes, cells without a nucleus, cells without internal compartments. And yet, they thrived. Inside each tiny cell, chemical reactions unfolded continuously, turning simple molecules into energy, repairing damage, and copying genetic information with quiet precision. They absorbed nutrients from their surroundings, released waste back into the water, and divided slowly, one cell becoming two. This simple act of division, repeated over millions of years, allowed life to spread across the planet. Some of these early cells learned to harness sunlight. Through a process we now call photosynthesis, they captured energy from light, using it to build sugars from carbon dioxide and water. As a byproduct, oxygen was released into the surrounding environment. At first, this oxygen was scarce, quickly absorbed by minerals in the ocean and rock. But over vast spans of time, oxygen began to accumulate, slowly, quietly. The chemistry of the planet changed. This shift would eventually allow for more efficient energy production and open the door to more complex forms of life. Among these early organisms, a remarkable event occurred. Some cells did not digest the smaller organisms they engulfed, but instead formed a partnership. The smaller cell continued producing energy, while the larger cell offered protection. This relationship became permanent over generations. The smaller cell evolved into what we now call the mitochondrion. Even today, every cell in your body carries these ancient partners within it, working constantly to provide energy, a living echo of an event that happened billions of years ago. Early cells did not think, did not plan, and did not strive. They simply followed the quiet rules of chemistry and physics, responding to their environment, adapting when conditions allowed, persisting when conditions were harsh. Their success was not dramatic, but it was absolute. They filled the oceans, the sediments, and eventually the land. Every tree, every animal, every human being traces its lineage back to these first cells. As you listen and your breathing slows, imagine drifting alongside them, tiny spheres of life, floating peacefully in a warm, primordial sea, carrying the future of the planet within them. Nothing hurried them. Nothing disturbed their rhythm. They existed, and in existing, they changed everything. And as you rest now, their quiet persistence continues within you, cell by cell, moment by moment. In the ancient oceans of Earth, life was still learning how to survive. Single cells drifted slowly through warm water, each one alone, each one responsible for everything it needed to live. They gathered energy, they repaired themselves, they copied their genetic material over and over again with quiet persistence, and for a very long time, this was enough. But then something remarkable happened. Some cells began to move closer to one another, not as competitors, but as partners. Imagine a small cell, simple and fragile, encountering another cell that was especially good at producing energy. Instead of consuming it, instead of drifting away, the two remained together. At first, this closeness may have been temporary, but over countless generations, the partnership became permanent. One cell offered protection, the other offered energy, and slowly, a new kind of life emerged. This moment is known as endosymbiosis, a quiet turning point in the history of biology. Inside your own cells today, there are tiny structures called mitochondria. They are often described as the power plants of the cell because they convert nutrients into usable energy. But mitochondria were not always part of us. Long ago, they were free-living organisms, independent and self-sufficient. When they joined larger cells, they brought with them an extraordinary ability to extract energy efficiently from the environment. In return, they received safety, stability, and a reliable home. This partnership allowed life to grow larger, more complex, and more resilient. Cells with mitochondria could afford to specialize. Some focused on structure, others on communication, others on movement. And from this specialization, complex life began to unfold. Plants, animals, fungi, and eventually humans all trace their origins back to this quiet cooperation inside your body right now. Trillions of mitochondria are working gently, producing the energy that keeps you alive. They help your heart beat steadily. They allow your lungs to rise and fall. They power the neurons in your brain as you listen and rest. And they do all of this without asking for attention. This is one of the most beautiful lessons in biology. Life did not advance only through competition. It advanced through cooperation, through systems learning to trust one another, through shared effort, through balance. As early cells partnered together, they laid the foundation for multicellular life, for tissues, for organs, and for the intricate biological systems that make sleep possible. Even now, as you lie still, your cells are communicating quietly. Energy is being distributed. Repairs are underway. Waste is being cleared. All of this happens automatically, without effort, without awareness. Your body remembers how to do this because it has been doing it for billions of years. As this chapter comes to a close, allow that thought to settle gently. You are not required to manage your biology. You're not required to supervise your cells. They already know their roles. They cooperate, they adapt, and they support you, even as you rest. And with that understanding, you can relax a little more deeply, knowing that the quiet partnerships within you continue their work softly and patiently. As life continued its slow and patient journey, something remarkable began to happen. For billions of years, life on Earth existed as single cells, independent, self-contained, quietly surviving. But over time, some cells began to stay together, not by accident, but by gentle cooperation. Instead of drifting apart after dividing, these cells remained connected, sharing resources, sharing signals, and slowly sharing purpose. This was the beginning of multicellular life. At first, these organisms were simple clusters, small gatherings of identical cells, working together in loose harmony. There were no organs, no tissues, no specialization yet, just togetherness. These early multicellular forms floated in ancient seas, bathed in soft sunlight, moving gently with the currents. Being together offered advantages. If one cell sensed light, others could follow. If one cell absorbed nutrients, the group could benefit. Life was learning, slowly, that cooperation could be powerful. Over millions of years, these clusters became more organized. Cells began to take on roles. Some focused on movement, others on digestion, others on protection. This quiet division of labor marked a turning point in biology. Life was no longer just surviving, it was experimenting. Sponges were among the earliest successes of this experiment, soft, porous, and unassuming. Sponges anchor themselves to the ocean floor, filtering water continuously, drawing in oxygen and nutrients, releasing waste with calm efficiency. They had no nervous system, no muscles, no brain, and yet they thrived. Their simplicity was their strength. Elsewhere in the oceans, other multicellular forms emerged. Jellyfish drifted through the water, their bodies shaped like gentle bells, pulsing rhythmically. They possessed primitive nerve nets, allowing them to respond to light, touch, and movement. This was an early step toward sensation, toward awareness. Not thought, not consciousness as we know it, but responsiveness, a quiet sensitivity to the world. Plants, too, were evolving along their own path. Simple algae formed colonies, using sunlight to create energy, releasing oxygen into the atmosphere over immense spans of time. These photosynthetic organisms transformed the planet itself. Oxygen accumulated, the sky changed, and new possibilities for life emerged. Multicellular life did not arrive suddenly. It unfolded slowly, patiently, with countless experiments, most of which failed, but some endured. And those that endured became the ancestors of everything complex that followed, including, eventually, you. As you rest now, imagine those ancient seas filled with softly drifting life. Each organism a small step forward in a journey still unfolding. Life learning how to be many instead of one. Life becomes more interesting when cells begin to work together. For a very long time, life on Earth existed only as single cells, drifting alone through water, responding only to their immediate surroundings. But eventually, something remarkable began to happen. Some cells discovered that staying close to one another offered advantages: protection from the environment, shared access to nutrients, and the ability to divide labor. Instead of doing everything alone, cells began to specialize. Some focused on movement, others on digestion, others on sensing light, chemicals, or touch. This cooperation marked the beginning of multicellular life. At first, these organisms were simple, loose clusters of identical cells, held together just enough to function as a group. They resembled tiny living rafts, drifting gently through ancient seas. Over time, natural selection favored groups that coordinated better. Cells that communicated more efficiently survived longer. Cells that adhered more reliably stayed intact in changing waters. Gradually, true tissues emerged. Tissues allowed organisms to grow larger without losing control. They made movement smoother, feeding more efficient, and response to the environment more precise. Sponges were among the earliest examples of this transition. They lacked nerves, muscles, or organs, yet their cells worked together in quiet harmony. Water flowed through their bodies in slow, steady currents. Nutrients were filtered, waste gently carried away. Soon after, more complex body plans appeared. Jellyfish introduced simple nerve nets, not a brain, but a distributed system of communication. Signals traveled softly through their bodies, coordinating movement without centralized control. This was a profound biological shift. Life was no longer just reacting. It was beginning to sense, coordinate, and respond as a whole. Muscle cells allowed movement to become purposeful rather than passive. Organisms could now swim toward food, drift away from danger, and explore their surroundings more actively. As bodies grew larger, internal organization became essential. Cells needed guidance, boundaries, and structure. This led to the early formation of organs. Groups of tissues began performing dedicated roles, supporting the organism as a unified system. Digestion became internalized. Gas exchange grew more efficient. Movement became smoother and more controlled. What emerged was not just complexity for its own sake. It was efficiency, stability, and resilience. Multicellular life could survive fluctuations that single cells could not. Temperature changes, shifts in oxygen levels, variations in food availability. With size came opportunity. With cooperation came strength. And with time, these early multicellular organisms laid the foundation for everything that followed. All plants, all animals, and eventually, humans. Every complex body alive today is built on the same quiet principle. Individual parts working together for something greater than themselves. As you rest now, let that idea settle gently. Life did not rush into complexity. It arrived slowly, patiently, one cooperative step at a time. And that calm progression continues even now. In this part of our journey, we remain in the calm, shallow seas of ancient Earth, where life has begun to change in quiet, meaningful ways. For a long time, life existed only as single cells, drifting independently through water, warmed by the sun. But over millions of years, something remarkable began to happen. Cells started to remain together after dividing, not by accident, but because staying together offered subtle advantages. Groups of cells could grow larger, become more stable, and interact with their environment in new ways. These early multicellular organisms were simple. They had no organs, no nerves, no thoughts, yet they represented one of the most important transitions in the entire history of life. Within these early colonies, some cells began to specialize. Certain cells focused on absorbing nutrients, others helped maintain structure, some responded to light or chemical signals. This quiet division of labor allowed the whole organism to survive more effectively than any single cell could alone. Over time, these cooperative groups became more organized. Cells communicated using chemical signals, exchanging information slowly, patiently, and reliably. This communication laid the foundation for all complex bodies that would follow. Sponges are among the earliest examples of multicellular life that still exists today. They have no true tissues or organs, yet their bodies contain many specialized cell types working together in harmony. Water flows gently through their porous forms, bringing oxygen and nutrients, and carrying waste away. Their simplicity is not a weakness, but a testament to how effective cooperation can be. As evolution continued, new body plans began to emerge. Some organisms developed layers of tissue, allowing for more complex shapes and movements. Flatworms appeared with simple nervous systems that allowed them to respond more quickly to their surroundings. Muscle cells enabled gentle motion, slow contractions that guided bodies through water with graceful efficiency. Eventually, radial symmetry evolved. Jellyfish and similar creatures emerged, their bodies arranged around a central axis. This allowed them to sense the environment from all directions at once. Their movements were slow and rhythmic, pulsing through the water in patterns that mirrored the tides themselves. Within these organisms, early nerve networks formed. Not brains as we know them, but simple webs of neurons capable of transmitting signals. These networks allowed organisms to coordinate movement, respond to light, and withdraw from danger. It was the beginning of sensation. As multicellular life diversified, different environments encouraged different adaptations. Some organisms remained anchored to the seafloor, filtering nutrients from passing water. Others became free-moving, exploring new ecological niches. Predation slowly emerged, not as violence, but as a natural consequence of energy flow. Some organisms consumed others, transferring energy upward through the growing web of life. This interaction drove innovation. Protective shells formed, camouflage appeared, speed, size, and sensitivity improved over time. Each small change accumulated gradually, never rushed, never planned. Life did not leap forward, it flowed. Every improvement was tested across countless generations. Those that worked persisted. Those that did not quietly faded away. Through the slow process, complexity increased without intention. From simple cooperation came tissues. From tissues came organs. From organs would eventually come systems capable of perception, memory, and awareness. All of this began here, in warm, shallow waters, with cells that chose to remain together. As you listen now, remember that your own body is built upon these ancient foundations. Every tissue within you, every coordinated movement, every quiet internal process traces back to this moment in life's history. The story of multicellular life is not one of sudden change, but of patience, of collaboration, of countless small successes layered gently over unimaginable time. And as this chapter slowly settles, allow your thoughts to drift as calmly as those ancient seas. There is no need to hold on to details, only to rest within the rhythm of life unfolding. Your body is not a single thing, but a quiet collaboration. Trillions of living cells, working together moment by moment without asking for attention. As you rest, this cooperation continues, steady, reliable, calm. Your body is a living system, shaped by biology, guided by chemistry, and sustained by rhythm. At the center of the system is movement, not fast movement, not dramatic motion, but gentle circulation, slow exchanges, and continuous balance. Blood moves through vessels, not rushing, but flowing, carrying oxygen, nutrients, and warmth to every corner of you. Each heartbeat is soft, measured, and purposeful. It begins quietly, within the heart, a muscular chamber no larger than a closed fist, yet powerful enough to support an entire body. With each beat, blood moves outward through branching pathways, like rivers dividing into streams, and streams into capillaries so small that red blood cells pass through, one at a time. Here, oxygen leaves the blood and enters surrounding tissues, supporting cells, maintaining life, without effort, without noise. And as oxygen is delivered, waste is gathered, carbon dioxide, metabolic byproducts, quietly collected and carried away. This exchange happens constantly, even now, even as you rest, even as you drift closer to sleep. Your lungs support this rhythm, expanding gently, then releasing over and over in a calm cycle. Air moves inward through the nose, down the airway, into branching passages, until it reaches tiny air sacs called alveoli. Each alveolus is thin, delicate, and perfectly shaped for exchange. Here, oxygen slips into the bloodstream and carbon dioxide drifts out, guided by simple physics and elegant design. There is no rush, no strain. Breathing continues, even when the mind lets go. Your body remembers how to breathe without instruction, without awareness. Supporting the steady motion is your nervous system, a vast network of signals and connections, running quietly beneath the surface. Some signals are conscious, allowing you to move, to speak, to choose, but many more are automatic. They regulate heart rate, control breathing, adjust blood pressure, and maintain internal balance without interruption. This automatic system, called the autonomic nervous system, is especially active during rest. As you relax, it gently slows the body, reducing alertness, softening muscle tone, and encouraging recovery. Your body recognizes safety and responds by letting go. Muscles loosen, tension eases, and energy use decreases. Even digestion slows into a steady, efficient rhythm. Food that was eaten earlier continues its journey, broken down into simple molecules, absorbed into the bloodstream and delivered where needed. The liver processes nutrients, stores energy, and filters the blood with quiet efficiency. The kidneys filter fluids, balance electrolytes, and remove waste drop by drop, hour after hour. Nothing dramatic happens, and that is exactly the point. Biology favors stability. Your immune system, even now, remains attentive but calm. Cells patrol tissues, identifying threats, repairing damage, and maintaining order. Most of this work goes completely unnoticed, and yet it protects you continuously. This silent vigilance allows the rest of the body to relax. As night deepens, the body shifts further into restoration. Hormones adjust, repair processes increase, and memory consolidation begins. The brain, though quieter now, remains active, organizing information, strengthening connections, and preparing for tomorrow. Sleep is not absence. It is activity of a different kind. It is biology, working gently on your behalf. You do not need to guide this process, or control it, or understand every detail. Your body already knows what to do. All you need to do is allow it to rest, to soften, and to trust the quiet intelligence within you. As this chapter draws to a close, your body continues. Its calm cooperation, steady, balanced, and whole, and you may simply rest within it. Now, let your attention drift to the quiet rhythm that moves through you, moment by moment, your breath, inhaling and exhaling, without effort, without instruction. Air flows gently through your nose, down your throat, and into your lungs, inside your chest. Millions of tiny air sacs, called alveoli, open like soft blossoms. Oxygen passes silently from the air into your blood, and with each calm breath, carbon dioxide is released, carried away, without you needing to think about it. Your lungs expand and relax, expand and relax. A slow tide, moving in and out. Now, follow that oxygen as it enters your bloodstream. Red blood cells float like tiny vessels, each carrying oxygen bound to hemoglobin. They travel through winding arteries, narrow capillaries, and gentle veins. Your heart quietly guides them, not rushing, not forcing, just a steady, reliable motion. The heart contracts, then releases, again and again, a rhythm older than memory. With each beat, blood moves outward toward muscles, organs, and cells, delivering oxygen, nutrients, and warmth. Some of that blood travels upward toward the brain. Some flows downward toward the legs. Some moves inward to the liver, the kidneys, the digestive organs, each pathway precisely shaped. Over millions of years, evolution refined the system, slowly, patiently, from simple circulatory loops in early organisms to the complex network within you now. As you rest, your heart rate softens, your breathing deepens, your body chooses efficiency over speed, repair over action. Cells receive what they need and release what they do not. Waste products are filtered, fluids are balanced, all without effort from you. Notice how calm this is. No urgency, no command, just systems doing what they evolved to do. Your breath continues quietly. Your heart continues faithfully, even as your thoughts drift, turn, and loosen, even as sleep begins to approach. You do not need to guide it. You do not need to control it. Your body already knows. And as you listen, you may find that each breath feels softer, each heartbeat more distant, as if you are gently floating within your own internal rhythm, a rhythm that has carried you from your very first breath to this calm moment now and will continue long after sleep arrives. As your body settles more deeply into rest, it begins to shift into a quieter mode of operation. This is not inactivity, but a different kind of work. Your muscles soften, releasing the subtle tension they carried through the day. Small adjustments ripple through your posture, finding positions that require less effort, less holding, less strain. Inside your nervous system, activity gently reorganizes itself. Signals that once prepared you for movement and alertness begin to slow, and pathways associated with rest become more active. Your heart continues its steady rhythm, but with slightly more space between each beat. Blood flows smoothly, delivering oxygen and nutrients without urgency. Your breathing becomes quieter now, not forced, not controlled, simply present. As air enters your lungs, oxygen passes effortlessly into your bloodstream. Carbon dioxide drifts away, released without effort. This exchange happens millions of times each night, so reliably that you rarely notice it at all. Deep within your cells, energy production adjusts to this restful state. Mitochondria continue their work, but at a calmer pace, producing just enough energy to maintain balance and repair. Across your body, repair processes quietly activate. Tiny tears and muscle fibers are reinforced, proteins are reorganized, damaged cellular components are identified and recycled. Nothing dramatic, nothing rushed, just quiet maintenance. Your immune system also takes advantage of this calm. White blood cells circulate slowly, monitoring tissues, repairing small disruptions, keeping your internal environment stable. Even your brain, which may feel distant now, is deeply engaged. Neurons reduce their outward chatter and turn inward, strengthening connections formed during the day. Memories are sorted, some reinforced, others gently allowed to fade. Chemical messengers shift as well. Stress hormones gradually decrease, while signals associated with calm and recovery increase. This internal balance is one of the most remarkable features of human biology. You do not need to instruct it. You do not need to manage it. Your body already knows how to rest. Every system understands this rhythm. Wake, engage, and then release. As the minutes pass, this quiet coordination continues, layer by layer, cell by cell. Nothing in your body is being wasted right now. Everything is being used wisely, carefully, patiently. You are not shutting down. You are restoring. And as this restoration unfolds, you are free to drift, to let awareness soften, and to trust the biology that has evolved over millions of years to guide you safely through the night. Now, we move deeper still, into the quiet interior of the cell. A single cell, so small it cannot be seen with the naked eye, yet alive with structure, movement, and purpose. Imagine gently drifting closer, as though shrinking, slipping past the outer boundary, In entering a living world, the cell membrane surrounds everything, a soft, flexible boundary, deciding what may enter and what must remain outside. It is not a wall, but a conversation, constantly listening, constantly responding. Inside, the cell opens into a calm inner space, filled with a clear fluid called cytoplasm, where countless quiet processes unfold. Nothing here is rushed. Everything moves with patience, guided by chemical signals, gentle attractions, and natural balance. At the center of many cells rests the nucleus, a rounded structure, protected, stable, and calm. Inside the nucleus lies DNA, your genetic library, carefully folded, carrying instructions written across billions of years. These instructions are not shouted. They are whispered, read only when needed, copied with care. The nucleus does not command, it coordinates. Around it, the rest of the cell works quietly, each structure knowing its role, each task unfolding without awareness. Without effort, some cells live only briefly, others last a lifetime. Some divide rapidly, others remain unchanged for decades. Yet all of them, from the simplest to the most complex, follow the same gentle principles: balance, efficiency, cooperation. Even now, as you rest, trillions of your cells are carrying out these processes, silently maintaining warmth, repair, and calm. You do not need to guide them. They already know what to do. And as you continue listening, we will explore how these cells create energy, move materials, and sustain life, moment by moment, without ever asking for your attention. For now, simply rest inside this quiet inner world. Within every living cell, there is a quiet source of energy, working patiently, moment after moment, without rest. These structures are called mitochondria, often described as the powerhouses of the cell. But in truth, they are more like gentle furnaces, carefully transforming fuel into usable energy. Mitochondria take in nutrients, molecules derived from the food you eat, and combine them with oxygen through a slow, elegant process known as cellular respiration. This process does not happen suddenly or violently, but in many small, controlled steps. Each step releases a tiny amount of energy, captured and stored in a molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. ATP is the cell's energy currency, used to power nearly every action in your body. Every muscle contraction, every nerve signal, every heartbeat, every breath you take depends on ATP, quietly produced within these tiny structures. If you could shrink down and drift inside the mitochondrion, you would see folded inner membranes called cristae, greatly increasing surface area. These folds allow many chemical reactions to occur simultaneously, like countless small engines, running in perfect coordination. Electrons move along specialized pathways, gradually releasing energy, never all at once, never wasted. At the end of this chain, oxygen waits patiently, accepting the electrons, forming water, a gentle conclusion to the process. This is why oxygen is so essential to life. Without it, the flow of energy slows, ATP production decreases, and cells begin to struggle. Yet even in moments of rest, even as you lie still, your mitochondria remain active. They adjust their pace, slowing slightly, matching the calm rhythm of your body, ensuring that energy is available, but never excessive. Mitochondria are also unique because they carry their own DNA. This DNA is small and ancient, a remnant of their distant past. Long ago, more than 1 billion years in the past, mitochondria were once independent organisms living freely in the environment. Over time, they formed a partnership with early cells, providing energy in exchange for protection. That partnership became permanent, and today, every cell in your body carries this ancient alliance. Because mitochondrial DNA is inherited almost exclusively from mothers, it has become a powerful tool for tracing ancestry and understanding human evolution. Within you, these ancient organisms continue their quiet work, generation after generation, unchanged in their essential purpose. They do not think, they do not feel, yet they are deeply connected to every sensation you experience. When you feel warmth, when your muscles relax, when your thoughts slow, mitochondria are involved. Even now, as your body settles deeper into rest, your cells are gently adjusting energy output, maintaining balance, protecting stability. Nothing is rushed, nothing is forced. Energy flows where it is needed and eases where it is not. In this way, life sustains itself through countless quiet exchanges, invisible, precise, and beautifully calm. And as you continue to rest, your mitochondria will remain at work, steady and reliable, supporting every cell as sleep slowly deepens. Inside every living cell, there's rhythm, not a sound you can hear, but a steady, dependable flow of activity that continues whether you are awake or resting or drifting slowly towards sleep. Each cell lives within a gentle cycle, taking in what it needs, using what it receives, and releasing what is no longer required. Energy enters, energy is transformed, and energy moves onward. Inside the cell, chemical reactions unfold in careful sequences, never rushed, never chaotic, each one preparing the way for the next. Enzymes guide these reactions, lowering the effort required, allowing life to proceed smoothly, efficiently, almost effortlessly. These enzymes are not consumed, they simply assist and then move on, ready to help again. Within the cytoplasm, molecules drift gently, colliding softly, binding, separating, forming new arrangements. Nothing here is static, yet nothing feels hurried. The cell maintains balance, a state known as homeostasis, where temperature, acidity, and chemical concentrations are kept within narrow, comfortable ranges. If conditions shift slightly, the cell adjusts. If nutrients become scarce, processes slow. If energy is abundant, repair and renewal quietly increase. This adaptability, this quiet responsiveness, is one of life's most remarkable traits. As time passes, cells grow. They build new components, expand their membranes, and duplicate their internal structures. When the moment is right, many cells divide, not abruptly, but through an orderly sequence of steps. DNA is copied carefully with astonishing accuracy. Organelles are distributed, space is reorganized, and finally, one cell becomes two. This process, called mitosis, is not dramatic, but it is profound. It is how tissues renew, how wounds heal, and how life continues from one generation to the next. Even cells that do not divide, like many nerve cells, remain active. They maintain electrical balance, repair subtle damage, and support the cells around them. No cell exists alone. Cells communicate constantly through chemical signals, electrical impulses, and direct contact. A signal released by one cell may travel only a tiny distance or circulate throughout the entire body. Some messages encourage growth, others signal rest, repair, or even programmed endings. When a cell becomes damaged beyond repair, it may initiate apoptosis, a gentle, controlled process of self-removal. This is not failure, it is cooperation in service of the whole organism. Through billions of such decisions, life maintains harmony. As you rest now, your own cells continue this quiet work. They repair small injuries, rebalance chemistry, and prepare for the day ahead. They do not need direction from you. They have been doing this for as long as life has existed, and they will continue softly, patiently, throughout the night. You can allow them to work while you drift deeper into rest. Nothing more is required of you than to breathe and let it go. Every living thing carries a story within it, a story written not in words, but in patterns. This story lives inside your cells, quietly, faithfully, and endlessly patient. It is written in DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid, a long, delicate molecule, coiled gently within the nucleus of nearly every cell in your body. If you could see it clearly, you would notice its shape first, a soft, twisting ladder, turning slowly through microscopic space. Each rung of this ladder is made from pairs of chemical bases: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. These names may sound technical, but together they form a language, a calm and consistent language used by all life on Earth. DNA does not rush, it does not shout. It waits, patiently, until it is needed. Within this language are genes, small segments of DNA, each carrying instructions for building something specific: a protein, an enzyme, a structural component of a cell. Some genes help shape your eyes, others guide the growth of bones, the rhythm of your metabolism, or the way your immune system recognizes the world. Most of the time, these genes remain silent, resting quietly within their molecular coils. Only when a cell needs guidance does the DNA gently unwind, allowing a copy of its instructions to be made. The process is calm, orderly, and remarkably precise. The copy, called messenger RNA, travels outward from the nucleus, like a whispered message, delivered exactly where it's needed. Ribosomes receive this message, reading it slowly and assembling amino acids into proteins, one by one, in perfect sequence. Nothing is wasted, nothing is hurried. This is how life builds itself, moment by moment, cell by cell, without awareness and without effort. Your DNA is not unique to you alone. You share much of it with every human who has ever lived, and even with creatures far removed from you in time. More than 98% of your DNA is shared with chimpanzees, much less with mice, and less still with plants, yet traces remain. This quiet similarity reminds us that life did not appear suddenly, but unfolded slowly, branching gently over vast stretches of time. Occasionally, a small change appears. A single base is altered. A letter in the genetic language shifts. This is called a mutation. Most mutations have no effect at all. They pass unnoticed, absorbed into the calm background of biology. Some are harmful, some are helpful, and many simply exist, neither good nor bad. Over generations, these tiny changes accumulate, providing variation, the raw material for evolution. There is no plan behind this process, no intention, only patience. Life tries possibilities, quietly, endlessly, and those that fit their environment tend to remain. those that do not slowly fade. And so, across millions of years, simple genetic changes shape fins, then limbs, then hands. They shape feathers, lungs, eyes, and minds, all from the same calm language written long ago and still being edited today. As you rest now, your DNA continues its work. Cells repair themselves. Proteins are renewed. Instructions are followed without thought and without pause. You do not need to guide this process. It has been refined for billions of years. Your body knows what to do. And within this quiet certainty, within this steady molecular rhythm, you can allow yourself to drift, knowing that life at its deepest level is calm, patient, and profoundly gentle. We now turn gently toward one of the most profound ideas in biology. The idea that small changes, accumulating slowly over vast stretches of time, can shape the living world. This process is known as evolution. It does not rush. It does not plan ahead. It does not strive toward perfection. Instead, it unfolds quietly, guided by variation, inheritance, and time. Within every population of living organisms, there is variation. No two individuals are exactly the same. Some are slightly taller. Some are slightly faster. Some are better able to tolerate heat, or cold, or scarcity. These differences often arise from tiny changes in DNA, small alterations in genetic code called mutations. Most mutations have little effect. Some change nothing at all. Others may slightly influence how an organism grows, functions, or interacts with its environment. Occasionally, a mutation provides an advantage. Perhaps it allows an animal to blend more easily into its surroundings. Perhaps it improves the efficiency of a protein. Perhaps it allows a plant to survive drought just a little better. When that advantage helps an organism survive and reproduce, the genes associated with it are more likely to be passed on. This is natural selection, not a force that chooses, but a quiet filter, allowing certain traits to persist, while others slowly fade, generation after generation. These small differences accumulate. Over time, populations begin to change, not suddenly, but gradually, almost imperceptibly. A beak becomes slightly longer, a limb slightly stronger, a behavior slightly more efficient, and given enough time, these changes can lead to new species. This process does not require intention. It emerges naturally from reproduction, variation, and survival. Evolution operates wherever life exists, in oceans, on land, in forests, and within microscopic worlds invisible to the eye. Even bacteria evolve, rapidly adapting to new environments and new challenges. This is why antibiotic resistance can arise. A reminder that evolution is not only ancient, but ongoing and very much alive. Importantly, evolution does not work toward a goal. There is no final form, no ultimate design, only what works for now. What survives today may not survive tomorrow. Environments change, conditions shift, and life responds. Seen this way, evolution is not a ladder, but a branching tree. Some branches flourish, others end, and new ones continually emerge. All life on Earth, from the smallest microbe to the tallest tree, shares common ancestry. Every species alive today is connected through an unbroken chain of life, stretching back billions of years, including you. Your body carries traces of this history in the structure of your cells, in the arrangement of your bones, in the ancient rhythms that regulate sleep, breathing, and metabolism. Evolution is written into you, quietly, patiently, without urgency. And as you rest, this slow story continues, unfolding at a pace so gentle it rarely demands attention. You do not need to follow every detail. You do not need to remember names or timelines. Simply allow the idea to settle, that life adapts, slowly, carefully, one generation at a time. That complexity can arise without haste, that change does not require force, and that you are part of a story still being written even as you sleep. Evolution does not rush. It does not hurry toward an end goal or move with intention in the way humans understand it. Instead, it unfolds quietly through countless small changes, accumulating over immense stretches of time. Each generation carries with it tiny variations, slight differences in form, in behavior, in chemistry. Most changes pass unnoticed. Some fade away. A few remain, simply because they help an organism survive a little more easily than before. This process happens without awareness, without planning, without direction. And yet, from this gentle accumulation of chance and persistence, the vast diversity of life emerges. Wings, eyes, roots, brains, all shaped slowly by the quiet pressure of the environment. A colder climate favors thicker fur. Scarce resources reward efficiency. New predators encourage caution, or speed, or camouflage. Nothing is forced. Nothing is deliberate. Life simply responds. Moment by moment, generation by generation. And over time, those responses become written into the language of DNA. As you rest now, consider how long this process has been unfolding. Life on Earth has existed for billions of years. Civilization occupies only a thin, recent layer of that timeline. Recorded history, just a brief whisper at the very end. Your own body carries this history quietly within it. The curve of your spine reflects ancient ancestors that walked upright. Your eyes carry adaptations shaped by changing light and shadow. Your immune system remembers battles fought long before you were born. Even your tendency to feel calm, or alert, or tired is influenced by biological rhythms shaped through evolution. Sleep itself is ancient. Long before humans existed, organisms rested, entered low-energy states, allowed their systems to recover. Rest is not weakness. It is an adaptation, a strategy refined across millions of years to preserve energy, repair tissue, and maintain balance. As you lie still now, your body is doing exactly what it evolved to do. Cells repair small imperfections. Memories gently reorganize. Hormones adjust their levels. Nothing dramatic happens. Nothing needs your attention. Evolution favors systems that work quietly, without conscious effort. And your body is one of those systems. Across the planet, the same quiet continuity continues. Plants adjust to shifting seasons. Animals adapt to new environments. Microorganisms evolve faster still, their generations passing in hours instead of years. Change continues, not in leaps, but in gentle steps. Even extinction, often imagined as dramatic, is usually slow. Species decline gradually, habitats change, opportunities narrow, and in the spaces that remain, new life eventually emerges. Evolution is not a straight line. It branches, it pauses, it doubles back. It is a living process, always ongoing, never complete, and you are part of it, not separate from nature, but woven into it. Your breath reflects atmospheric chemistry shaped by photosynthetic organisms. Your food comes from ecological networks, refined over time. Your senses interpret a world molded by evolutionary pressures. As your awareness softens now, there's nothing you need to understand further. You do not need to analyze evolution or remember details. Simply allow the idea to settle. Life changes slowly, quietly, persistently, and just as evolution moves without urgency, so too can you rest without effort, without expectation. Let the long continuity of life carry you gently towards sleep. There is time. There has always been time. And for now, there is rest. Chapter 7. The Web of Life. As we widen our view beyond individual organisms, we begin to see life as something deeply connected, not isolated, not separate, but woven together into quiet systems of balance. Every ecosystem is a conversation between living things and the environment that surrounds them. Energy flows, matter cycles, and life responds. Imagine a forest at rest. Tall trees rise slowly toward the sky, their leaves catching soft light, their roots spreading gently through the soil. Beneath the surface, fungi form vast underground networks, linking tree to tree, sharing nutrients and information. This hidden web, often called the wood wide web, allows plants to support one another, especially in times of stress. Life, quietly helping life. Sunlight enters the system first. Plants absorb this energy, transforming light into chemical fuel through photosynthesis. That energy moves onward into leaves, into stems, into fruit. Herbivores feed, predators follow, and decomposers wait patiently to return nutrients back to the soil. Nothing is wasted. In a meadow, grasses sway in slow rhythms, their roots holding the earth together. Insects move from flower to flower, pollinating without awareness of their importance. Birds watch from above, listening, waiting. Every small action adds to the stability of the whole. Ecosystems are shaped by their environment. In the ocean, plankton drift gently in sunlit waters, forming the base of an immense food web. Tiny organisms, barely visible, support fish, which support larger fish, which support whales. The largest animals on Earth depend on the smallest. Coral reefs grow slowly, layer by layer, built by living animals that create shelter for thousands of species. They are cities of the sea, alive with motion, color, and quiet cooperation. In deserts, life moves differently. Plants store water, animals conserve energy, and activity waits for cooler hours. Seeds lie dormant, sometimes for years, until rain finally arrives. Then, almost overnight, the landscape blooms, life adapts, not by force, but by patience. Each ecosystem finds balance, but the balance is never fixed. Fire may clear a forest, allowing new growth to emerge. Floods may reshape rivers, creating fresh habitats downstream. Change is part of the system. At the center of every ecosystem are feedback loops. When populations grow too large, resources become limited. When numbers fall, space opens and recovery begins. These gentle corrections keep systems from collapsing. Most of the time, humans are part of these systems too. Our actions ripple outward, touching soil, water, air, and life far beyond what we can see. Yet ecosystems are resilient. Given time and care, they often heal. As you rest now, imagine these vast living networks breathing together. Forests, oceans, grasslands, deserts, all quietly exchanging energy, all participating in the same long story of life. And within that web, you are included, not separate, but connected to everything that lives and everything that ever has. Allow that thought to settle gently as the rhythm of life continues, steady, balanced, and calm. We continue now, deeper into the living systems of Earth. Imagine an ecosystem not as a place, but as a conversation, a slow, ongoing exchange of energy, matter, and time. In every ecosystem, there are producers, plants, algae, and certain bacteria. They take in sunlight quietly, patiently, and transform it into chemical energy. This process, photosynthesis, is one of the most important reactions on Earth. It captures light and stores it in the bonds of sugar molecules. Those sugars then move outward into leaves, stems, roots, and eventually into the mouths of animals. Herbivores feed on plants, carnivores feed on herbivores, omnivores move between both. Energy flows upward through the ecosystem, but it never cycles perfectly. At each step, some energy is lost, released as heat into the surrounding environment. That is why ecosystems form layered structures, many plants, fewer herbivores, even fewer predators. Balance emerges not from equality, but from proportion. Below the surface, unseen by most eyes, decomposers work quietly: fungi, bacteria, insects, breaking down fallen leaves, dead organisms, and returning nutrients to the soil. Without them, life would quickly bury itself in its own remains. In forests, networks of fungi connect tree roots. These mycorrhizal networks, sometimes called the wood wide web, allow trees to share nutrients and signals. A tree under stress may receive help from others. Information moves underground, slow, silent, cooperative. In oceans, ecosystems drift and pulse. Phytoplankton bloom near the surface, capturing sunlight, feeding zooplankton, which feed fish, which feed larger creatures. Whales dive deep, then return nutrients to surface waters, fertilizing plankton blooms. Even the largest animals play roles at microscopic scales. Coral reefs build cities of calcium carbonate, tiny coral polyps working together, hosting algae inside their tissues. The algae provide energy. The coral provides shelter, a partnership refined over millions of years. Grasslands depend on grazing. Without large herbivores, grasslands may transform into forests. With too many grazers, soil erodes, plants vanish. Once again, balance emerges through limits. Ecosystems are not static. They shift with climate, with disturbance, with time. Fire clears old growth, floods reshape riverbanks, storms open canopies. From disruption, new patterns grow. Succession follows. Pioneer species arrive first, hardy, adaptable, preparing the ground for others. Over decades, sometimes centuries, complex communities return, not identical to before, but shaped by what came earlier. And always, life continues its quiet work. As you listen, remember that you are part of the system. Your breath connects you to plants. Your food ties you to soil, water, and sunlight. You are not separate from ecosystems. You are an expression of them. And as your body rests, these systems continue, flowing, cycling, patient, resilient, and alive. As we come to the final movement of this chapter, we allow our attention to widen once more, from individual organisms to the calm, interconnected systems they belong to. Life on Earth does not exist in isolation. It exists in patterns, in flows, in gentle exchanges that repeat day after day, season after season. Take a slow breath and imagine a forest at rest. Not a dramatic forest, not a storm, not movement, just stillness. Tall trees stand quietly, their leaves barely stirring. Roots spread deep and wide beneath the soil, intertwining with the roots of others. Below the surface, an entire world is active, though nothing rushes. Fungi stretch delicate threads through the earth, connecting trees, sharing nutrients, sending chemical messages in a silent biological conversation. This underground network, sometimes called the Wood Wide Web, allows forests to behave, not as individuals, but as communities. Older trees often send nutrients to younger ones, supporting growth. Without awareness, without intention, just biology doing what it has learned to do over millions of years. Pause here and let that idea settle. Life supports life, quietly, efficiently, without effort. In grasslands, similar patterns unfold. Grasses sway gently in the wind, their roots forming dense mats beneath the soil, holding moisture, preventing erosion, stabilizing the land. Herbivores move slowly across these plains, feeding, resting, moving on. Predators follow, not in excess, but in balance. Each population rises and falls, never perfectly still, never chaotic, just gently adjusting, responding to subtle changes in food, climate, and space. This is what ecologists call dynamic equilibrium, a state of constant motion that somehow still feels calm. Oceans follow the same rhythm. Plankton drift near the surface, absorbing sunlight, forming the foundation of marine food webs. Small fish feed on plankton. Larger fish feed on them, and energy moves upward, layer by layer, through the water. Whales pass slowly through these systems, massive yet peaceful, filtering tiny organisms from the sea. When they dive, they carry nutrients downward, and when they surface, they bring nutrients back up. Even their movement helps sustain life. Nothing is wasted, nothing is rushed. Coral reefs, though vibrant and colorful, are built slowly. Tiny coral polyps, no larger than grains of rice, secrete calcium carbonate, layer by layer, year after year. Entire reef structures, visible from space, begin as microscopic actions, repeated patiently over time. And even when reefs appear still, they are alive with exchange, with respiration, with reproduction, with quiet chemical signaling. Ecosystems are not machines, they are relationships. They do not aim for perfection, only for continuation. When conditions change, ecosystems adjust, sometimes gradually, sometimes with loss, but always through the same biological principles: variation, feedback, adaptation. You are part of this too. Your body mirrors these systems, cells communicating, supporting, regulating. Just as forests share nutrients, your organs share resources. Just as populations rise and fall, your hormones fluctuate, your energy shifts, your systems respond. There's comfort in this symmetry. The same rules that guide oceans, forests, and grasslands also guide you. And tonight, as you rest, those systems continue working without effort, without instruction, breathing, repairing, balancing. Nothing needs your attention now. Life knows how to sustain itself because it has practiced for billions of years. Allow that knowledge, ancient and steady, to carry you gently onward. The web holds, the balance remains, and you can rest within it. Chapter 8. The Future of Life. As you continue to rest, allow your mind to drift gently forward in time, not rushing, not imagining sharply, but floating, as if carried by a slow and patient current. Life has never stood still, not for a single moment. From the earliest molecules in ancient seas to the quiet complexity of the world you inhabit now, life has always been in motion, changing, adapting, responding. And even now, as you listen, that story continues. Across the surface of the earth, new variations quietly emerge, small differences in form, in behavior, in chemistry, most unnoticed, most unremarkable. Yet over long stretches of time, these subtle changes accumulate, layer upon layer, shaping the direction of life's future. Some species will slowly adjust, finding new balances with their environments, while others will fade, not suddenly, but gently, as conditions shift beyond what they can tolerate. This process is neither hurried nor cruel. It is simply the rhythm of biology, steady, unemotional, and persistent. In forests, plants adjust the timing of their growth, flowering earlier or later, responding to temperature, light, and moisture. In oceans, microscopic plankton shift their ranges, following currents, following warmth, forming the foundation for future ecosystems. In animals, small genetic variations influence survival. A slightly thicker coat, a different metabolism, a new behavior, each one a quiet experiment tested by time. And among all these living systems, humans continue to evolve as well, not only biologically, but culturally, technologically, and socially. Our tools extend our abilities, our knowledge reshapes our environment, and our decisions ripple outward, affecting countless other forms of life. Yet beneath all innovation, the fundamental biology remains the same. Cells divide, DNA replicates, energy flows, and life continues its careful balance between stability and change. The future of life will not arrive all at once. It will unfold gradually, almost invisibly, just as the past once did. New species will emerge quietly, their origins unnoticed, their early generations fragile, yet persistent. Ecosystems will reorganize, finding new patterns of interaction, new cycles of energy and matter. Some landscapes will become unfamiliar, while others will return to forms that once existed long ago. Through it all, life will continue to explore possibility, testing forms, testing strategies without intention, without awareness, yet with remarkable resilience. And you, listening now, are part of this ongoing story. Every cell in your body carries echoes of ancient ancestors, and every breath you take participates in cycles far older than memory. The future of life is not separate from the present. It is being shaped quietly, moment by moment, through countless small interactions. As you rest, your body continues its own gentle maintenance, repairing, renewing, balancing. Your cells divide when needed, proteins fold into useful shapes, energy flows softly through familiar pathways. Even in stillness, life does not stop. And perhaps that is the most comforting truth, that life, in all its complexity, does not demand attention, does not hurry, and does not falter because of pause. It simply continues, patiently, adaptively, and quietly. As this chapter draws to a close, let your thoughts soften, not reaching forward, not looking back, but resting comfortably in the present moment. The future of life will unfold with or without observation. And for now, it is enough to rest, to breathe, and to allow the story to continue without effort, without urgency, and without waking thought. As life continues forward through time, it does not rush, it does not hurry toward the future. Instead, it unfolds slowly, patiently, guided by countless small changes, accumulating over generations. The future of life on Earth will not arrive all at once, but moment by moment, cell by cell, adaptation by adaptation, just as it always has. Some environments will change quietly, almost imperceptibly. Temperatures will shift, seasons may lengthen or shorten, oceans may warm, ice may retreat, and life, as it always does, will respond, not with intention, but with variation. Within populations of plants and animals, small differences already exist. Some individuals tolerate heat a little better. Others conserve water more efficiently. Some reproduce earlier, others later. These differences, subtle and often invisible, will shape which traits continue forward. Over time, life adjusts, not dramatically, but persistently. New species may emerge, not suddenly, but through long sequences of gentle divergence. A population becomes isolated, its environment slightly different, its pressures slowly reshaping form and behavior. Generation after generation, these differences accumulate until the line between past and present life quietly dissolves. At the same time, some forms of life may fade. Extinction, though often associated with catastrophe, is also a natural part of biological history. Most species that have ever lived are no longer here, and yet life continues, not diminished, but transformed, each ending making room for something new. Humans, too, are part of this process. Our biology continues to change, slowly, subtly, across generations. Immune systems adapt, metabolisms respond, genetic variations shift in frequency. We are not separate from evolution, we are participants within it. At the same time, human knowledge now allows us to observe and even influence the course of biological change. Through medicine, we reduce selective pressures that once shaped survival. Through agriculture, we guide the evolution of plants and animals. Through technology, we alter environments at unprecedented scales. This influence carries responsibility. Though biology itself makes no judgments, life responds only to conditions. Whatever environments persist, life will find ways to inhabit them. This adaptability, this quiet resilience, has carried biology through ice ages, mass extinctions, and planetary upheaval. Even in the far future, long after individual species have changed or disappeared, life's underlying processes will remain familiar. Cells dividing, energy flowing, information copying itself, with small variations, the same patterns expressed in new forms. Some future organisms may look unfamiliar, adapted to conditions we can barely imagine. Others may resemble forms we already know, refined by time, streamlined by necessity. But beneath their diversity, the same biological principles will persist. Metabolism, reproduction, homeostasis, adaptation. As you rest now, your own body continues these ancient processes. Cells repair themselves, DNA is maintained, energy is conserved and redistributed. Even in sleep, life remains quietly active, not striving, not competing, simply continuing. The future of life is not a single destination, but an ongoing unfolding, a story without an ending, only transitions. And you, listening now, breathing softly, are part of that story, carrying forward patterns that began billions of years ago and will continue long after this moment has passed. There's nothing you need to do, nothing you need to become. Life is already doing what it does best, persisting, adapting, flowing forward, and for now, you are free to rest, held gently within that quiet continuity. As this journey gently draws toward its end, we arrive at a quiet place where the future of life unfolds, slowly, patiently, almost unnoticed. The future does not arrive suddenly. It emerges the same way life always has, through small changes, quiet adaptations, and countless moments of persistence. Across the planet, life continues its steady rhythm, cells dividing, organisms growing, ecosystems adjusting, responding softly to changing conditions. In forests, trees extend their roots just a little deeper. Leaves adjust their angle to the sun. Fungi weave unseen networks beneath the soil, sharing nutrients, supporting balance, maintaining calm. In the oceans, currents shift slowly. Plankton drift with the light, and coral reefs, though fragile, continue their patient construction, layer by layer, polyp by polyp. Life does not rush. It experiments, waits, and gently continues. Within your own body, the future is unfolding as well. In quiet ways you never need to notice. Cells repair themselves, DNA is copied with care, proteins fold into precise shapes, and energy flows steadily, keeping you alive. Moment by moment, every breath you take supports this ongoing story. Every heartbeat, the continuation of a rhythm billions of years old. You are not separate from biology's future. You are part of it, a living chapter, written slowly, in real time. Evolution continues not through force, but through subtlety. A slight variation here, a small advantage there, a trait that quietly helps an organism survive just a little longer. Over time, these small differences accumulate, guiding life forward without urgency, without intention, only through continuity. Some species will adapt, others will fade, and new forms of life, still unimaginable, will eventually emerge. This is not loss, it is transformation, the same process that shaped everything before. As technology advances, humans now observe biology more closely than ever, mapping genomes, studying ecosystems, and learning how deeply interconnected life truly is. Yet even with this knowledge, the biology remains humble, reminding us that complexity cannot be rushed, imbalance cannot be forced. The future of life depends not on control, but on understanding, patience, and respect for the quiet systems that sustain existence. And as you rest here now, listening softly, your own biology responds. Your breathing slows, muscles loosen, and your nervous system settles into calm. The same biological processes we've explored are now guiding you gently towards sleep, repairing, restoring, and preparing you for tomorrow. There is nothing more you need to do. Life knows how to continue, and so do you. The future of life is not something distant or abstract. It is present, here, now, within you. And as your awareness drifts and thoughts become quieter, This story does not end. It simply continues softly, peacefully through the night. As this quiet journey through life begins to draw to a close, allow yourself to remain exactly where you are, comfortable, still, and at ease. For the past hours, your mind has drifted through oceans of time, through cells, through living systems, through the gentle unfolding of biology itself. You've listened without effort, learned without trying, and rested without needing to do anything at all. And now, there is nothing left to follow, nothing left to understand, nothing left to hold on to, just the calm rhythm of your breathing, slow, steady, natural. Your body knows how to rest, your mind knows how to soften, and sleep knows how to arrive on its own. If you are still awake, you can let the thoughts fade even further, like distant echoes, quietly dissolving into the background. And if you have already drifted, this voice will simply become the part of the night, gentle, unimportant, safe. There is no ending here, only a gradual quieting, a soft return to rest. Thank you for spending this time with scientific slumber. May your sleep be deep, your dreams gentle, and your rest uninterrupted. Good night.